Hey there, good morning ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sunday to you all. It is September 10th, 2023. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. Hans, goedemorgen. Vinnie, good morning, morgen. Harme, goedemorgen. Salut Jean-Yves, mon ami. Comment ça va aujourd'hui? We are at the northern threshold of 18 right once again. The moment being used for departures. Landings take place on Polderbaan. This beautiful specimen of KLM has just arrived from Delhi, Boeing 787-10 in the KLM 100 years livery. KLM Flight 872, 4-year-old airplane. Its first flight was in June 2019. Leen, goedemorgen. Remco, goedemorgen. Paul, goedemorgen. Dexus, goedemorgen. Good morning. Tiger 74, good morning. Michael Nopes, good morning buddy. Hey Sander, goedemorgen kerel. Alles lekker? Marissa, goedemorgen. Alles goed? Marijn, goedemorgen. Mario, goedemorgen. Herzlich willkommen. Leo, goedemorgen. Now, let me do a test run. Have a look. We are expecting a 747 to the Polderbaan. And let me get my bearings straight. This is the Embraer 175. Behind it should be a Dreamliner 10 arriving from New York JFK. Where do I need to look? I'm missing it probably already. Let me see. Oh wait, it is just a little left. Oh wait, it's the different. It's the wrong, the wrong traffic. Okay, so that means that the 747, which is behind it, will have to be somewhere there. Trying to see if I can spot the Cargolux 747 arriving from Nairobi. I think I have it in sight. Yeah, there it is. Very faint. Cargolux Italia Flight 2616. A 747-400 arriving from Nairobi. Flight time 8 hours 19 minutes. Boeing 747-400 freighter, 17 years old. First flight November 2005. Landing on Polderbaan. And hopefully we'll pass around the northern threshold of the runway I'm standing next to, so we can get a nice close-up shot as it is taxiing past us once it has landed. That's what I'm hoping for. Thus far, traffic behind me is all taking the northern threshold, and the same happened earlier in the week, the first time I was standing here. So fingers crossed that, like the Cathay Pacific 747-8 that passed by then, so too will this 747 pass us by up close and personal after it has landed on Polderbaan. Right, this is where we are going to lose track of it, lose sight of it. Not many departures going on the runway right now. But there is one that isn't using the runway threshold, but an entrance a bit further out, an Embraer 190 going to, oh, clicked on the wrong airplane. Embraer 190 from KLM flight 1173 going to Trondheim. 9-year-old airplane, first flight February 2014.
And meanwhile, Lisette, goedemorgen. Smackaroni, good morning. Tina York, good morning. Happy Sunday. Hans Joachim, guten Morgen. Harry, good morning. Ricardo, goedemorgen.
Hope everybody is doing well. Got an Airbus A319 that has arrived from London Luton. EasyJet flight 22515. An airplane that is 14 years old. Had its first flight in April 2009. And we have a TUI Dreamliner flight 511, Belgian registered, arrived from Cancun, Mexico. 9-year-old airplane, first flight November 2013. Wake, a teensy tiny little Embraer. Wait for me, wait for me. Still waiting for another airplane to take off in the meantime. Oh, my camera just a few centimeters lower than my eyesight, so I see a little bit more of the airplane that is approaching, but you guys are seeing you see it as approach as if it were a shark with its tail fin just above the waterline. Dreamliner 10 arrived from New York JFK, and after it coming in the 747. Let's see if the 747 will make it our way. Campero, bom dia! The Rogue Platonicist, good morning. Ingo, guten Morgen. Goedemorgen. Shannon, good morning. Good evening, I should say. RDW, goedemorgen. Jason, good morning. Valentino, good morning. Blackburst, good morning, buddy. Hey Wendy, goedemorgen. Hoe is het?
Frank, good morning. Jarno, goedemorgen. Infinity, good morning.
Decision time for the Cargolux 747. Let's have a look and see what it is doing. What it will be doing. I think it is coming our way. Noise, noise, noise. Get ready for an up close and personal shot. Meanwhile, departing, or ready to depart, Embraer 190 going to Cardiff. German Airways, flying for KLM as KL flight 1059. And a 787-10 Dreamliner that has arrived from New York JFK, crossing in front of it. This is KLM flight 1059, flown by a German Airways Embraer 190. Destination Cardiff, 14-year-old airplane, first flight January 2009. Nice and sunny in Heerenveen, Wendy. Nice, nice, nice. Hopefully you're not cold again as you were yesterday. Man, over here it was hot, or at least at the Polderbaan where I was standing yesterday. Now there's a little breeze. Yesterday, zero breeze, zero. So happy that at least there's a little bit of breeze. And beautiful weather, albeit a bit hazy. But less hazy than it was on Thursday. Now, the proof of the pudding will be in the eating, and that will be when this runway will be used for arrivals later in the morning. See how far we can look ahead and see the airplanes in advance. Thursday it was quite hazy, or what was it, Friday? When was I here? The day before yesterday, it's Sunday, yeah, Friday. Cargolux Italia, we saw it land on, or at least we saw the last part of its short final to Polderbaan just now. Alright Wendy, happy to hear that, not cold at all. We'll be complaining about the rain and grey weather soon enough. I'm thinking, let's enjoy it while we can. Cargolux, flight 2616, we saw it land just now, arrived from Nairobi. She's 17 years old. The lady had her first flight in November 2005. Rolls-Royce engines, you can see the logo. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the only reason this spot is working so well today is because of the maintenance work that is being done until the 12th at least on runway 06, the Kaagbaan. This runway normally gets used for arrivals or for departures as a secondary runway on and off. So an hour on and then it doesn't get used anymore, and then another hour or so. So standing here for a live stream normally isn't that interesting because there's not a constant flow of traffic, but now it has been in use as a secondary runway for departures and a secondary runway for arrivals, back and forth constantly. And because this runway is in use constantly, traffic arriving from Polderbaan, which is also, due to the wind blowing from the south, used for arrivals, has to go around the runway. Which allows us to see it up close and personal. So it is only a temporary spot, this, because I think once Cargolux opens up again and normal operations will resume, this location will no longer be as interesting. Of course, if you want to take pictures or separate videos, maybe make a compilation video of approaches or departures, it is still a very good location. But then again, so is the threshold of the Polderbaan. You also need some constant flux of traffic, and for that, Cargolux and Polderbaan are the best. Got another departure! Airbus A220 from Air Baltic going to Tampere, which I probably mispronounced. Flight 562. Airbus A220 300, 3 years old, first flight May 2020. And good morning TNC. Arjan, goedemorgen, good morning. Good morning Sven. Lifeline 2, Rini, good morning. If I forgot somebody, my apologies. Good morning to each and every one of you. So there is a little bit of crosswind, as you guys can see. The airplane immediately points the nose to the left. We do have a few knots of southeasterly wind. These airplanes take off to the south, i.e. crosswind from the left. Now we've got two triples coming this way that have just landed on Polderbaan. Infinity wanted to see where I'm standing. I'm standing next to the Hoofdvaart, which is over here. And there is a crossing. This road is called 2000L. And just before it there is a little road where you can enter. Even walk up to the approach lights. Got another airplane ready to take off. Hey Jons, goedemorgen. Good morning. Oh, and everybody is having coffee breaks. Now you're making me want a cup of coffee. This is KLM flight 1541, Embraer 190 going to Leeds, and it is 11 years old. First flight was in January 2012. We've got two 777s coming this way that have just landed on Polderbaan. KLM flight 588, which is a 777-200 that has arrived from Lagos. This airplane is 16 years old. Had its first flight in January 2007. And we have a Sky Express little Airbus behind it. Greece is bliss. There you go, now you know. Windsock, as you can see, is doing something unlike the previous couple of days. We have Shamrock going to Cork in a few moments. This is Shamrock Flight 841 and Airbus A320, 19 years old, first flight July 2004. Hey, morgen. Goed man. Hey man, fijne dag. That was my buddy Mandos from MGS Aviation that just snuck up on me. Didn't hear him initially. KLM Flight 592, which is coming home from Johannesburg, South Africa, 777-300ER. And Aer Lingus taking to the skies. Hey there Sven, goedemorgen. Wilma, goedemorgen. Peter PDK, good morning. Right, the next airplane to take off is a Boeing 737-800 going to Göteborg from KLM, flight 1155, 23-year-old lady. First flight was in August 1999. It will get photobombed by another 737-800 from Sun Express that has arrived from Adana. Flight 1728. And that was 12 years old. I'm hearing a helicopter. Where is it? At least I think I'm hearing a helicopter. Huh. Alright. We've got a CRJ that has landed on Polderbaan coming our way. And there is an EasyJet A319. Ah, there's the helicopter. I already thought I heard one. The police helicopter apparently just taken off from the Schiphol Oost area, which you can see when you're standing next to the McDonald's, where all the private jets also land. That's also where this helicopter has its parking and landing place. Hey there Alan, Sam, Jan Willem, Mrs. Professor, good morning. Doing well, thank you for asking. Hope you're doing well as well. Now, Got an SAS CRJ 900 that has arrived from Stockholm. This airplane is KLM flight 1207. We'll be going to Kristiansand, Embraer 190, 5 years old, first flight February 2018. Mrs. Professor is asking about the weather. Well, it's beautiful weather over here. The sun is shining. It's already 20 plus degrees Celsius, 22 according to the latest METAR. We have a little bit of wind blowing from the southeast. So there's a little bit of crosswind from the left for the airplanes taking off from this runway. They are taking off to the south. And I'm already hearing, and probably you guys are too, some louder engine noises. We've got two A330s coming our way that have arrived on Polderbaan just a few minutes ago. Turkish A330-300 will lead, arriving from Istanbul. Behind it we have a KLM 200 that is arriving from Edmonton, Canada. Double A330 time. And Jordan, you're absolutely right. The pilots are already leaning in against the wind. There is a little bit of crosswind from the left during takeoff, so they do lean in against the wind to stay on course. Meanwhile, it does seem that there is a little bit of moisture in the air as well, more than during previous days. I do see an occasional contrail here and there. Now this is already far to the south, moving to the southeast, probably towards Frankfurt or beyond. Looks like it is a twin jet. It is otherwise a bit hazy, which you can see when pointing the camera towards the main ATC control tower. Also, a bit further out you can see the haziness, creating beautiful layers in the landscape. It has to be said. Teensy tiny little EasyJet. Berend, Bart, goedemorgen, good morning. Miss Wolves, good morning. Loco, good morning. Danny, goedemorgen. We have the United 767-400 ER. Arriving from Washington, Dulles. "21-year-old airplane, this one. Had her first flight in May of the year 2002. With the new blue on blue livery. Which personally I think doesn't look as good as the one where there were gold accents in the globe of the logo. But then again, who am I to judge? Apparently people who got paid handsomely for it did like it better. Good morning, Angus. Captain Eddie Bos, did I already say hi to you? Good morning, mate. Or good evening. Rini, goedemorgen. George, goedemorgen. Seems that in the distance there is an airplane taxiing this way to depart. And another airplane ready to depart, a Big Bird. Over here. Little KLM 737 in the meantime passing by. Well, I say little, but it is the biggest of the family, a 900. KLM Flight 1692 that has arrived from Lisbon. 19 years old, first flight April 2004. Hey there, Coter Jeremy, goedemorgen. Got a 787-10 Dreamliner to San Francisco coming this way. We'll be taking off in a few moments. Got a 787-10 over here. On the other side we have a 787-9 that has arrived from Toronto, Canada. That is going to pass by in the foreground in a few minutes. This is KLM Flight 605, 787-10 Dreamliner going to San Francisco, 3 years old, first flight May 2020. And passing in the foreground will be KLM Flight 696, Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner arrived from Toronto, Canada, 6 years old, first flight July 2017. Now, interestingly, a United Dreamliner that has arrived from San Francisco will be coming in a few minutes. And the chopper that flew over here just now is now in Sander's vicinity near Katwijk. Better not be doing anything suspicious there, Sander. If the airplane, or if the helicopter will be flying circles over Katwijk, then somebody is doing something suspicious there.
can definitely see how it is already pointing a little bit to the left to stay on course due to the crosswind, albeit minor crosswind. Lambo YT, good morning. Big Al, good morning, legend. Let's have a look. The next airplane, I think, is going to be this Air Baltic Airbus A220 going to Riga. The Sint Maarten butt shot. Better go to the trademark office tomorrow, Paul, to have that name copyrighted, protected. This would be Air Baltic flight 618 going to Riga. Airbus A220-300. 3-year-old airplane, first flight was in December 2019. Morning, Andre. And all other viewers. Christian, goedemorgen. Hope everybody is doing well. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're standing at the northern threshold of 18 Center. A220-300 from Air Baltic taking off. United flight 968 passing in the foreground has arrived from San Francisco, 7879 Dreamliner, 7 years old, first flight October 2015. The A220 left the ground on its way to Riga. Got Delta Airlines flight 143 going to Seattle over here. To the right you can see a 737 that is going to go to Copenhagen from KLM, an 800. On the right we have an Embraer 175 from KLM that has arrived from Prague in the Czech Republic. KLM flight 1352 will be passing from the right in a few moments. 6-year-old airplane, first flight January 2017. The Embraer is going to be followed by a Speedbird A320 that has arrived from London Heathrow. Also just landed Delta Airlines flight 74, which is an A350-900, also expected to come this way. Here's the Embraer 175. Got an A320 from Aer Lingus behind the 737 to the left. The Aer Lingus is going back to Dublin, Ireland. And again, Delta Airlines flight 143 A330-300 will be going to Seattle. Speedbird in the foreground arrived from London Heathrow. Hey there Picabo, WD Computer, good morning. Jordi, goedemorgen. Jet Music, Travel Channel, goedemorgen. Aeolus Capital, good morning, goedemorgen. Campero asks, crosswind? Yes, a little bit from the left. That is, we have wind from the southeast. These airplanes take off to the south. So you can see how it is moving a little bit to the left already in order to stay on the runway heading. A319 from EasyJet, which came back from London Gatwick. And Delta A350 visible in the distance. But the A330 over here is taking off first. Now, no sooner has it begun accelerating or the runway will already be occupied by the next airplane, the Aer Lingus, going to Dublin. Madeira Aviation spotting, good morning. Marnix, goedemorgen kerel. Indeed, new place. Well, I was here already on the day before yesterday. But it is definitely a nice change of scenery versus constantly the polderbaan. Courtesy of runway 0624 being closed. Nicely audible there. Right, Shamrock, flight 603 going to Dublin, A320, 18 years old, first flight January 2005. Rolf asks, wondering whether there are any props flying in and out of Amsterdam. Well, maybe private jets, biz jets, turboprop biz jets, but commercial no longer. The last we had flying was Flybe, but that they went bankrupt less than a year ago. I do remember having seen them. No, the Dash 8s. They flew Dash 8s. I did feature a few in my earliest streams, but soon thereafter they went bankrupt, and since then no longer are there any turboprops, at least commercial turboprops, flying in or out of Schiphol, unfortunately. And Aeolus, it's not that special to see departures from this runway, but normally you would see them to the north. So departures to the south is rather remarkable. They usually only arrive and land in this direction. Takeoffs are a bit less frequently seen. Alright, in the meantime, Delta Airlines flight 744 has taxied all the way over here. A350-900 arrived from Atlanta, Georgia. People in business have a lot of their windows closed, you can see. Good morning, Professional 45. Steve, good morning. Hey there, Austrian Wolf. Guten Morgen.
nice Lufthansa Neo. A320neo has arrived from Munich. Flight 23. 2302. The airplane 3 years old. First flight was in June 2020. Alright, next departure on the center runway going to Salt Lake City is an A330neo from Delta. Delta Airlines Flight 57 going back to Salt Lake City, Utah. The airplane is a year old. First flight April 2022. And good morning, Sumo Burger. Good to see you again. Hope all is well. Landing gear very slow to retract, as always. The 300s and the Neos alike. Hey Ronald, goedemorgen. Thomas, happy Sunday. Got a 737-800 from KLM going to Manchester lined up. KLM flight 1073. 23 years old, first flight July 2000. Now if I'm not mistaken, around 11 AM we can expect a change in runway usage and see this runway being used for arrivals most likely. And this one, 737 is accelerating off the runway, down the runway. Another one has just landed from Berlin and is going to pass in the foreground. Ronald, goedemorgen. Cor, goedemorgen. World Changer, good morning. Sponge, good morning. Got a little Embraer 175 that has landed a few minutes ago on Polderbaan. Arrived from Geneva. Lufthansa A320 coming up on the taxi route. 777-200 that has arrived from Cape Town, South Africa, also inbound, and also just landed was a Delta A330-300 that has arrived from Minneapolis, Minnesota. They're all expected to follow the same route as this airplane is now following. In the meantime, not from the threshold but a bit further down the runway, we have Ryanair going to Dublin, 737-800, 15 years old, first flight November 2007, flight 421. Jin Shin, good morning, aloha. Hope all is well, good to see you again, mate. And Dario the Dictator, love the name. Good morning, buddy. Hope all is well. Gosse, goedemorgen. Got an airplane coming your way, buddy. Hey there, Vicky, good morning. Tuning in from the UK. Hope all is well over there. Probably similar weather as we are having right here. Lufthansa A320 that has just arrived from Frankfurt, and a 777-200 that is coming our way has landed, coming home from Cape Town, South Africa. Ooh, very hot, Vicky says. Well, it's promising to be another warm day here as well, even warmer than yesterday, and already it was warm yesterday. The upshot is that today at least there is a bit of a breeze. Yesterday it was completely wind still, and I can tell you it is hot then with no wind. Luckily today a little bit of a breeze, and I believe tomorrow will also still be warm, but not as warm as today, and then as of Tuesday more precipitation and also lower temperatures, still in the 20s or so, 20 C, so 70 F approximately, which for almost mid-September you can't complain, that's for sure. This is KLM flight 598. 777-200 ER has arrived from Cape Town, South Africa. 19 years old, first flight October 2003. Look at all those wires running from the landing gear to the wheel axis. It's always remarkable to see just how comparatively tiny the rudder of, or the tail I should say, the vertical tail of the triples is compared, and particularly on the 300s. They look small compared with the rest of the airplane. And if you compare that for instance with the A380 or with other airplanes, just something I always immediately notice. Big engines and a small tail. Now, taking off in the distance is an Air Baltic A220 going to Tallinn. Frank referring to the cables as hydraulic pressure lines. Obviously, you need good brakes. They need hydraulic fluid. Alright, Air Baltic, toodaloo. Bye bye. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Theo, goedemorgen. Now, lined up is a 777-200 going to Quito, KLM Flight 755, 19 years old, first flight January 2004. What you're hearing is Delta Airlines Flight 162 has just landed on the Polderbaan, coming back from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and will be photobombing from the right in a few seconds. And a 747 just popped on the radar. Interesting. Hey! Going to Chicago. That is good news because that makes it a very likely candidate to take off from this runway, unless they are going to close this runway and use it for landings anytime soon. Oh, Marissa says it will be a 18C departure, so we're going to see a Queen take off. And I think there was also another Queen underway, which is expected to arrive, I believe, around the time that this runway is expected to be used for arrivals. And it was arriving from the east, if I'm not mistaken. Baku, if I'm not mistaken. So we might see one take off and also land. In the meantime, a warm welcome to all viewers who have joined us in the meantime. You're watching AMS Live, my name is Boy. We are standing on the northern threshold of 18 Center. Currently being used for departures, later expected to be used again for arrivals, and after that for departures again. The airplanes that you see taxi from right to left every now and then is arriving traffic that has landed on Polderbaan, runway 18 right. And because this runway is constantly in use, they have to go around the runway and they often take the northern threshold. So that means they come our way and photobomb the airplanes that we see take off from behind over here. Now, these airplanes take off to the south. As you guys can see, they're leaning in to the left a little bit. After departure, we have wind from the southeast. Not a lot, a few knots. There is a little bit of crosswind, as you guys can see. Croatia Airlines A319 has just arrived from Zagreb. Delta A330 lining up, going to Portland, Oregon. Delta Airlines Flight 179. What you're hearing most likely is another A330 that is coming our way. KLM Airbus A330-200 that has arrived from Washington, DC. KLM Flight 652. This airplane is 17 years old. First flight was in October 2005.
thank you Tina for letting me know. It was Silkway, due soon, inbound, 747. Oh, landing on 18 right, so that is unfortunate. Hey Anja, goedemorgen, good morning. Good to see you again, hope all is well. Boeing 737-800 going to London Heathrow, lined up, ready to go. The other 787-10 Dreamliner that has arrived from Las Vegas, coming in from the right. As you guys can see, a little bit of wind. Norwegian with a gentleman, or is that a lady? Let me have a look on the bigger screen. It is a gentleman, I think. Hey there, John, good morning. Got a little bit of a queue over here, including an A330. An a 787-10 Dreamliner that has just arrived from Las Vegas, passing in front. KLM flight 636. Stealth Wolf, good morning, tuning in from Scotland. Hope all is well over there. Welcome to the show, buddy. Glad you're enjoying. Hope everybody is. And that sounds good, Anja. A nice, relaxed Sunday. Got a Transavia coming in from the right, arriving from Pisa. A 700, flight 5424, 20 years old. Lined up is an Embraer 190 going to Inverness. KLM flight 923, 14-year-old airplane. Its first flight November 2008. Now, how about I enable digital zoom for the occasion and have a look and see who exactly is on that tail. Well, A330 stands still for a minute. Kim something something, and he is holding a phone. Oh boy. Right, let's get digital zoom disabled again, so that I don't accidentally go into the blurry zone. Two airplanes lined up. In the foreground we have a KLM Airbus A330, and first taking off is a MAX 8 from Norwegian going to Copenhagen. We've got a KLM 737 photobombing from the right in a second. And indeed, Frank, do a butt shot. Servus Peppi. Schön, dass du auch wieder dabei bist. Herzlich willkommen. Hoffe, es geht dir gut. Hoffentlich nicht zu heiß in Innsbruck heute. Norwegian going to Copenhagen. And next will be an A330 that now seems to have vanished from flight radar, on my screen at least. That's odd. Danny Lee, good morning. Tuning in all the way from Georgia, where it is still early. In fact, middle of the night. Are you night owling or early birding? Hey there, Tim. Morning, mate. Tuning in from Staffordshire. Doing well? Definitely. Thank you for asking. Hope the same goes for you. Well, don't get too attached to this new location, because the busyness you're experiencing today mainly has to do with the fact that runway 0624, the Kaagbaan, is closed until the 12th at least for yearly maintenance. That means different runway usage and more busyness on this runway. This is not representative for when normal operations are resuming, so I think this might be the last day standing here for some time to come. Of course, whenever another situation occurs that we have traffic similar to what we are having today and also the day before yesterday when I was here for the first time, I will come back, of course. Got an E2 Embraer 195 going to Hamburg lined up already. KLM flight 1778, brand new airplane. First flight was in January this year. And we have a queue behind it. As you guys could probably see already on flight radar, we have a CRJ from SAS. And we have yet another A330. 737-700 in the foreground. And there is also a Queen underway. Let's see if we can see her in the distance. Over here. Not yet. No, not yet. And a 747 landing on Polderbaan. Let me have a look. Right. Shall we see if we can capture Silkway West, land on Polderbaan? We might catch a glimpse of her taxiing later. Where do I need to look at again? Let's have a look. I think it was somewhere in this area. Where is the airplane? Oh, crossing the North Sea Canal. So it is still a little bit further out. Gives me some time to say a big thank you to FFC Festa for just becoming a member of the Aurora Sky Lounge. Thank you so much for your support. And welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge. And I do see the 747 now in the center of the screen, just below the middle. Right. Arriving on the Polderbaan, this is Silkway West Airlines flight 209. Arriving from Baku, flight time 4 hours and 57 minutes, a 747-400 freighter, 22 years old, first flight March 2001. It will land on the Polderbaan, but there's a big chance that it's going to taxi right in front of us to its gate. Now, wouldn't it be nice if the 747 that is going to take off from the runway we are standing next to
And this 747 will be captured in the same shot. Two queens in one shot, that would be a clip for OnlyFans. Alright, beautiful to see the sun illuminating it from this side. That's the upside of standing here on this time of day. Alright, so let's see if we can see it up close. Good morning, Gabriela. Begum, good morning. Skaboy, good morning. Hope everybody is doing well. We're standing here today at the northern threshold of runway 18 center. The runway itself being used for departures and arrivals intermittently. The runway is being used constantly. Also being used constantly is the polderbaan for arrivals, and all the arrivals, or at least most of them, will pass along the northern threshold back to the platform. So this ITA Airways in the beautiful Azzurro. Just landed on polderbaan. And that means that there's a big chance that we are also going to enjoy the 747 that we saw just now, landing on polderbaan. Now there's also a 747 expected to depart, and she is visible over here already, coming our way. We do have to wait a little bit. Got United over here, taking off 777. Going to Newark, United Flight 71. This airplane, this triple, is 24 years old. The first flight was in January 1999. So a 2-for-1 queen, that would be terrific. We might have a chance of seeing them together in the same shot. Oh, smoky triple. The haziness all of a sudden has increased tremendously. Brown haziness. Jaddy, goedemorgen. Harm, goedemorgen. Marco, een hele goede morgen, kerel. Welcome to one and all. You're watching AMS Live. This is runway 18C, where departures at the moment take place to the south. Landings take place on polderbaan 18 right. Traffic that has landed on polderbaan will be coming this way, and I think it won't be too long, maybe after the 747, but we will at some point also see the runway being used for departures, arrivals, sorry, is my expectation. While the Queen is approaching from the left, we have a Dreamliner 7879 arriving from Cartagena, or has arrived from Cartagena, taxiing in from the left or the right.
Now, let's take a little detour. Zooming all the way out, turning around the camera to the northwest. We have two contrails on the same path, moving from from west to east, north of me. This is the one closest by. Which is passing north of me and is still just a little bit west of me, but is flying to the east, maybe a little bit to the southeast. And the airplane behind it seems to be on the same course. The airplane is now passing directly north of me. Let's see if I can show you the other airplane as well. Seems that that is also a twin jet. Seems to be on the same route. Appears to be a twin jet as well. Let's not linger too long because I also hear the 747, the outbound 747, which is over here. And the inbound 747 is over here. So the Atlas has to slow down and the Silkway has to hurry up, assuming that the Silkway will take a left-hand turn and come this way. Here we have Atlas Air Flight 8154, Boeing 747-400 freighter, going to Chicago O'Hare. And this lady, 21 years old. The first flight was in April 2002. Oh, and the Atlas, the Silkway is taking a right-hand turn and is not coming over here. That is unfortunate. Another is saying that this is the last departure. After this, the runway is going to be used for arrivals. And indeed, Frank, Sint Maarten style butt shot. And soon Sint Maarten style arrivals. Well, they will be flying a bit higher. We are a bit further away from the runway over here, I think, but it's getting close. And Andre, I think Cartagena in Colombia. At least last time I checked, it was in Colombia, or unless there are several places called Cartagena. I think this is the one in Colombia that KLM services. Right. Now,
Subtle difference, but if you look closely, you can see that the lights are now on, the approach lights. Some more lights over here are on. More Christmas lighting. And that means I have to zoom out a little bit, turn around the camera, because here is the first airplane to arrive already. KLM Embraer 175. So, not a lot of time to waste. First landing airplane, just touched down. And let's have a look. Coming up next will be another Embraer 175 that is coming in from Nuremberg in Germany. KLM flight 1884. Flight time at the moment 54 minutes. And where is it? Should be over here somewhere. There it is. KLM flight 1884, Embraer 175 arriving from Nuremberg. Flight time 54 minutes. The airplane is 5 years old. First flight April 2018. Hey Jorn, goedemorgen. Eversteria, goedemorgen. 18C indeed. Georgios, good morning. Hope all is well in Kalamata. Got a 737-800 behind it. Where is it? Bit hard for me to see. Is it lower? Higher? Hey. Oh, Sander, the sunscreen for the camera is working poorly. Not as good as I had hoped, because it is still reflections that I see constantly. So it does, of course, protect for direct infalling sunlight, but like right now the sun is almost immediately behind me. So I have to block everything with my face, and then I still see the reflection of my face illuminated by the sunlight on the screen. So it does work, it does do something, but it is not nearly as much as I had hoped it would be. But alle kleine beetjes helpen, as we say. 737-800 arriving from Vienna. Indeed, big cloth over my camera and head like in the olden days. That would be a good idea. Next up, KLM flight 1342, Embraer 190. Coming home from Billund, where it left 48 minutes ago. The airplane is 13 years old. First flight was in October 2009. We've got an all Dreamliner coming this way as well. Marissa is warning us. Always nice to see the heavies come to the center runway. Although even these small jets already sound gnarly.
Oh. Thank you so much, Big Al, for gifting 5 AMS Live memberships. Appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much. And welcome to all new AMS Live members.
Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's turn around the camera. Got another Embraer 175 coming in. Arriving from Göteborg. No, wait, that's the next airplane. 737. I was looking too far ahead. Now we've got an Embraer 175 arriving from Göteborg. KLM flight 1154.
The next airplane is visible in the bottom. Okay. Now 455 viewers and only 208 likes. That ratio can be much better. I know you guys can do better than that.
This is KLM flight 1154, Embraer 175, coming from Göteborg. Flight time 1 hour and 14 minutes. The airplane 6 years old. First flight September 2016. Behind it another Embraer 175. That is arriving from Bologna. BLQ, I think that was Bologna. Now you can see that there is a little bit of crosswind. The wind is blowing from the southeast. These airplanes are landing to the south, i.e. we have a little bit of crosswind from the left. Here you can see the windsock, giving a visual representation of the wind situation over here. Now, 2 airplanes coming in. Embraer 175 in the foreground and a Dreamliner in the background. Coming in first is KLM flight 1586, Embraer 175, arriving from Bologna in Italia. Flight time 1 hour and 33 minutes. The airplane is 7 years old. Its first flight was in March 2016. Right, next up, LL flight 337, a 7879 Dreamliner. Arriving from Tel Aviv. Let's see how the Dreamliner is sounding when it passes over. This airplane is underway for 4 hours and 19 minutes. The airplane is 5 years old. First flight was in January 2018. LL flight 337. All right. Ina, goedemorgen, good morning, guten morgen. That was quite loud, wasn't it? Hey there, Debbie, good morning. Tuning in from Wales. Well, I think you guys could hear it from over here. That was a loud one. Now, a little bit of separation because there's a narrow body following a big body, wide body I should say, but next up is an Embraer 190 KLM flight 1868 coming in from Stuttgart. Flight time 55 minutes. The airplane is 11 years old. Its first flight was in January 2012. And there is already an airplane visible in the distance, which is from ITA Airways, an A320 arriving from Milan. Last minute crabbing a bit. But nice landing. Indeed, Mint, busy morning, and courtesy of the runway 06 being closed for maintenance. Otherwise it wouldn't be as busy as it has been today. But today the runway we are standing next to is being used constantly, if not for arrivals then for departures, and normally it would be used as a secondary runway for arrivals or departures, but then, for instance, for another hour or so it would be closed, and now it is constant action, and it's also a nice mix between arrivals and departures. Unfortunately not representative of normal daily operations. Right, did a little bit of hydrating there. Got ITA Airways flight 120 coming in next, an A320 arriving from Milan, flight time 1 hour and 19 minutes. 14-year-old airplane, first flight June 2009. Hey Droogbier, goedemorgen. Hey Dirk, goedemorgen. Butt shot, how about that? Hey Patrick, goedemorgen. Is it still morning? Yeah, it is still morning. Right, got another Embraer 175 arriving from Frankfurt. Up next, KLM flight 1764. Flight time 43 minutes. Let's have a look. Where is it? There it is. And a little below it, to the left, is the next airplane visible. So the stack looks a bit different from this point of view. Hey Rivald, goedemorgen, good morning. Nona's Adventures, good morning, goedemorgen. And thank you for your kind words. Hope everybody is having fun. That's the most important thing. Now, I'm curious to see, could somebody have a look and see what currently the expected time of arrival of the Emirates A380 is? When I set out this morning, it was 3 minutes past 1. Curious if it has gotten more late or more sooner. 1 p.m. is normally the time that they switch this runway to being used for arrivals. No, for arrivals again. So if it is going... Alright, thanks Sander, ETA 109. That makes it more likely that this runway will be used for arrivals, and makes it a lot more likely that the A380 is going to land on this runway later this afternoon, this early afternoon. Of course, no guarantees can be given beforehand, but if it is landing after 1 o'clock and preferably 1:15 to 1:30 or later, then we have a high degree of certainty that it is going to land on this runway, given that there is southerly wind, and this runway is also a secondary runway for arrivals. So I would say that we have a relatively high likelihood that the A380 is going to land on this runway. Up next, MNG Airlines arriving from Istanbul, A321, flight 724, flight time 2 hours and 58 minutes. The airplane, 15 years old, first flight January 2008. Hey there John, Lars, goedemorgen, good afternoon. Morning still. A320 from Austrian in the background, coming after the MNG. So we have an A321 first and an A320 second. Now, thus far, one LL Dreamliner representing the heavies on this runway for arrivals. Wonder if more heavies are inbound. We have a prime location for hearing the beautiful sound that a 777 freighter or 300 makes during landing over here. The whining would be nice. Time will tell. First up, an A320 from Austrian, flight 379. A320 arriving from Vienna, flight time 1 hour and 24 minutes. The airplane is 23 years old, first flight was in December 1999. Looks like more narrow bodies for the time being. Hey Yorkshire biker, good morning buddy. Hope all is well over there in York. I'm assuming you guys are having weather that is similar to what we are having over here. Now, speaking of weather, just to remind myself that I forgot to update the ticker in terms of the weather. Quickly. Now we've been having KVK weather all day, every day now for a couple of days, so I'm not expecting a lot has changed, but it's always nice to see what the temperature and the wind are doing. Wind 120 degrees, 6 knots, temperature 25 C, so that is roughly 80 F. Pasting the latest meter in the ticker, adjust the font size, and there we go. All right. Hey Flip, goedemorgen. Thanks for the kind words, buddy. Nice to see all 747 pilots tuning in as well from all the way from New Zealand, no less. Unfortunately, those 747s have become more of a rarity these days over here. And for now, in terms of arrivals on this runway, we will have to make do with a few more narrow bodies, it seems like. We've got German Airways flying for KLM, arriving from Aalborg, KLM flight 1330. German Airways Embraer 190, flight time 57 minutes, 15-year-old airplane. So if you guys had a look in the ticker just now, you could see the weather passing by. Weather still unchanged. Gav okay, ceiling and visibility are okay. There is a bit of nebulosity higher in the sky, but it's not very significant. We did already see some contrails earlier.
The sky is mostly blue still. Speaking of contrails, there is one over there. Again, flying from west to east. Another twin jet. The next airplane to land, arriving, which is a 737-800 from KLM, approaching from Stockholm. Good morning Darren, good morning Vliegtuigman. Eddie P, good day, tuning in from Australia. Weppie, goedemorgen, good morning. Alright. Next up, Embraer 190. Arriving from Stavanger, KLM flight 1198. Let's have a look, shall we? KLM flight 1198. Embraer 190, arriving from Stavanger, flight time 1 hour and 9 minutes. The airplane, 14 years old, first flight June 2009. Salut Philippe, who is tuning in from La Douce, France. And Hearn is also tuning in. Is that from Vietnam? Good day. Hey Mees, goedemiddag. Great to see so many people tuning in. Hope everybody is doing well. Now, we're standing over here at the northern threshold of 18C, currently being used for arrivals. Later expected to be used for departures once again. Polderbaan has been used for arrivals all morning. Sticking around until the daily Emirates A380 has landed, and its ETA is 1 p.m. local time, and that means that there is a high probability that come that time this runway will be used for arrivals. The fact that it is coming in from the east makes it very likely that we are going to see the A380 land on this runway by then. Now, likely, not guaranteeing you guys anything. Wish I could, but it is very likely based on runway usage over the last couple of days. 2 airplanes visible in the distance. Got a Boeing 737-800 from Anadolu Jet arriving from Istanbul in the foreground. Got an A321neo from Pegasus arriving from Istanbul as well behind it. Hey Aphrodite, goedemiddag. No, morning still. I keep thinking it is afternoon already, probably because it is a bit warm, but at least there is breeze. Anadolu Jet, flight 7768, Boeing 737-800, arriving from Istanbul, flight time 3 hours and 6 minutes, 25 years old, first flight September 1998. Still the number of likes, half of the number of viewers. I think you guys can do better than that.
We've got Pegasus A321neo, flight 1251 coming up next, also arriving from Istanbul. A little bit younger than the previous airplane. This airplane had its first flight March this year. Flight time 3 hours and 2 minutes. Now, is there something heavy coming this way? Looks like all narrow bodies so far. Looking a bit further out. No. Okay. Influx of narrow bodies it is then. Right, let's have a look. The next airplane coming in. EasyJet A319, arriving from Prague in the Czech Republic, flight 27926. Has been on the way now for an hour and 10 minutes. The airplane is 17 years old. Its first flight was in May 2006. Right now, think we might see a runway usage change again after the next airplane has landed, which is SAS flight 821 A320 coming in from Oslo. There we go. Coming in slowly but surely. Now folks, if you just tuned in, welcome to the show. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're standing at the northern threshold of the runway 18C. Due to the closure of Cargolux runway 0624, the runway usage is a bit different from standard procedure, and this runway gets used more intensively, particularly since all week we have been having wind
either from the east or from the south or southeast. And today and the last couple of days this runway has been in use on and off for arrivals and for departures, being in use constantly. And normally it is in use for an hour or so, and then an hour or so nothing happens, and then it gets used again for an hour or so. So the constant action makes it enticing to do a live stream from this location. Bonus is that not only do you get to see arrivals and departures in the same stream, you also get to see airplanes that have landed on runway 18 right, the Polderbaan, taxiing around the threshold over here up close. Which is something we began the stream with, and I think we are going to go back to that in a few minutes. Unless more traffic is going to land on the runway after this airplane. Now, as you guys can see, there is a little bit of wind from the right, i.e. it is blowing from the southeast. The windsock over here in the center of the screen shows you that. It's also a bit hazy. The entire mainland Europe area under the influence of high pressure over the last week. Now I'm not seeing any airplanes anymore coming this way directly. We see the Christmas lights over here still on. We'll see soon enough if they go off again, and if this runway will be used for arrivals then again. That might well be the case. I'm also hearing Russell or one of his family members making a little bit of a ruckus. Which one is it? The wrong one. Oh, there it was. There we have him. Making a lot of noise as he is flying away. Now this location, at least where I'm standing, does have access to water, but it is further away. There are apparently some ducks swimming over there. There's also a little bit of water on this side. Also a little bit further down the road. Not seeing any action over there at the moment. Right now we'll have to wait and see what is going to happen next. I'm seeing Evan tuning in again. Good to see you, buddy. Hope all is well. You did miss a lot already. We started the stream with departures and now we just finished a bout of arrivals. Looks like the lights are still on over here. There are also some airplanes approaching from the east, but will they go to this runway? Probably not. Looks like there is an airplane in the distance already crossing the runway. That is interesting. Transavia 737. Now let's have a quick look at the runway usage app, which is always behind. It says the runway is still being used for arrivals. Well, that can be. I do still see all the Christmas lights on over here.
Now, I think there's also, was there a vehicle driving? Yeah. So bird controller on the runway further up, you can see it in the middle of the screen. Runway inspection in progress, it seems like. I'm thinking after that, this runway is going to be used for departures once again. Which is a good moment to update the ticker. Let's have a look at the latest weather. Also have a look at the expected runway usage. Are we seeing anything off? 18, 18, 18, 18. Yeah, so for the next hours to come, this runway will continue to be used intermittently between a runway, a secondary runway for departures and for arrivals. So this is just a moment in between the inflow and outflow of traffic where the runway inspection is taking place. I'm expecting pretty soon thereafter, after the bird controller in the distance is done with the checking out the perimeter, that airplanes will resume to take off from this runway once again as we started the stream. Got a new update of the weather in the ticker. The latest METAR from 9:25 Zulu time, so that is 11:25 Central European time. The local time visible in the bottom left of your screen. Wind 6 knots from 130 degrees, and the wind direction variable between 090, so that is pure west, and 170 nearly south. CAV okay, meaning ceiling and visibility are okay. The air temperature at the moment 26 degrees Celsius. The dew point is 20 degrees Celsius, 26 C is approximately low 80s F, 81, 82 or so. QNH 1017 hectopascals means the current air pressure, and no SIG means no significant changes expected in the weather in the upcoming 2 hours. An omen that this runway is going to be used again pretty soon is the fact that we have airplanes already taxiing around the northern threshold that have just landed on Polderaan. Hey there Eddie, good morning buddy, hope all is well. Now, I'm zoomed out too far. On Flight Radar, let me zoom in so that I can also have a look at everything going on in this vicinity. This is KLM flight 954, an Embraer 190 that has landed on Polderaan, coming home from Newcastle. A 13-year-old airplane that had its first flight in August of the year 2010. Now, the Christmas lights that were on just now, in the meantime, have gone off, as you guys can see, meaning that they are preparing this runway for departures once again. We do have one cheeky airplane that is crossing the runway in the distance, but I am expecting very soon that the traffic coming from Polderaan will be going around either the northern or the southern threshold. And thank you for the update, Sander. So it seems that the A380 is getting a bit more behind on its initial schedule. Earlier, before going out, it looked like it was expected around 10 minutes past 1. Now 3 minutes later, it's not much, but at least it is on the safe side, quote unquote, for it to land on this runway. E2 Embraer 195 has arrived from Manchester. Will it also? Yeah, it is also going to cross over there. Of course, no outbound traffic just yet, so interesting that the Embraer 190 arriving from Newcastle just now has in fact gone around instead of crossing it like this E2 has done just now. Peter K is watching MotoGP on TV with one eye and watch the stream with the other eye. Did not know that you could control your eyes individually, buddy. Right, let's have a look. We have a little control to follow in the meantime. Moving from west to east and a little bit from north to south. Getting closer towards me. It is now flying north of me, I would say. And again, from west to east, I'm also hearing a chopper once again. Behind me. I think that is the police helicopter. Returning to base after having circled around Sander's house above Katwijk. Making sure that nobody in Katwijk was doing anything suspicious. Contrails visible quite well. As you guys can see, it is visible extensively. The helicopter in the meantime flying back to its base at Schiphol Oost, presumably. Now I'm seeing a 777 from United going to Washington that has been pushed back. I think it is going to take off from this runway in a few minutes. It is on its way over here by the looks of it. Not sure what the A330 from Turkish to Istanbul is going to do. Likely going to move to the other runway. Hey, where something has just taken off from, it seems like. And a shout out to Speedbird's grandson Charlie, who is apparently also watching. Good day to you, Charlie. Hope all is well. It seems for now that landing traffic is crossing the runway still. That is because traffic departing from this runway still has to make their way over here. So this is probably going to be one of the last airplanes that will be able to cross the runway. Alright, A330 has arrived from Bonaire, crossing the runway. However, Over here we have our first departing airplane coming this way. United Airlines Flight 21 going to Houston, Texas. 777-200 will be taking off from this runway. So as soon as it is near the threshold, ATC will no longer allow inbound traffic to skip the runway, shortcut the runway where the A330 did just now. Hey there, Carolina, probably. Good morning. Jep Music asks, how far are you from Schiphol? Well, depending on what you mean by Schiphol, but if you want to know where the terminal building and the ATC control tower of Schiphol are, the main tower, they're over there. This location is lodged on the east of the A5 highway. If you look on the map, this is the highway that is parallel to this runway where I'm standing next to, and the Polderbaan, which is further to the west. Airplanes landing on Polderbaan, visible from over here, just barely. I think it is better to look at traffic landing on this runway from the Polderbaan than the other way around. But that is a KLM Embraer that has just touched down on Polderbaan. And as you can see, the A5 highway and the crossing to the A9 nearby, going to the north on this side of the runway. Alrighty, now departures seem to have begun. I had to wait a few minutes. Seems that not everybody was so patient to stick around, but that's okay. Here we go. This is United Airlines Flight 21 going to Houston, Texas. 777-200 in the Star Alliance livery. This airplane is 21 years old, so curious to see if it's going to smoke a lot when spooling up to takeoff thrust. First flight of this airplane was in February of the year 2002. And because this airplane and presumably other airplanes behind it will take off from the runway from now on, it does look like, there we go, like a shark fin sticking out above the water. Airplanes landing on Polderbaan will now be coming this way, taking the detour around the northern threshold, will be passing us by up close in a few moments. Hey there, Jeremy, good morning. Passing in the foreground, Embraer 175 that has arrived from Hanover. It looked like the smoke production from these engines were not as bad as they are on some other 777s that are a bit older, belonging to United. Now, we'll have to wait for the next departing airplane, but arriving airplanes going around the threshold keep coming. TUI 737 MAX 8, flight 1532, just arrived from Ibiza. That is approximately a 2-hour flight if I'm not mistaken. This airplane is 4 years old. Its first flight was in February 2019. In the meantime, we have a 747-800 passing by that has just landed from Bergen. Frank is informing us that the Emirates A380 is now over Vienna. So yeah, that is about an hour and 15 to 20 minutes still. Very likely candidate to land on this runway. I'm expecting this runway be used for departures until approximately 1 o'clock then. And around 1 p.m. the runway will probably be used for arrivals once again. That is what the game plan has been all week so far. Got a tail visible in the distance, coming this way, and in the foreground a KLM Embraer 190 that has arrived from Dublin. KLM Flight 934 has just landed from Dublin, Ireland. It is like a catwalk, isn't it? Going back and forth, showcasing the livery and the curves in the fuselage, and then going back again. And Eddie Bos has to go. Goodbye, Captain Eddie Bos. Also Wilma, see you later. Thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. En goedemorgen Jos. Welcome. And Ross in BC has landed. Excellent. Now. In the meantime, another Embraer 190, German Airways flying for KLM, has arrived from Aberdeen. Got a couple of big birds coming up next.
And 737 taking off from the distance. Now, we've got a couple of big birds coming in from Polderbaan. To begin with, KLM flight 604 arriving from LAX 787-10 Dreamliner. It's going to be followed by a 777-300ER arriving from Vancouver, Canada. And another 777-300ER arriving from Curaçao, Willemstad. Not a great many of departures going on just yet. Aphrodite has to go. Having bad headache is never nice. Hopefully, by lying down with some painkillers, things will get better again. Definitely weather that if you are sensitive to headaches, it can induce headaches. Something I've experienced firsthand more than once as well. Right, so a 787-10 Dreamliner from LAX, followed by two 777-300s. The first one arriving from Vancouver, Canada, KLM flight 682. You can also see the elevator, the pitch. If it is more downward, then the trim is set in favor of landing, for instance. If it is more horizontal, then it is more in the takeoff or cruise configuration. Helps so that the pilots don't have to put too much pressure on the controls. Keep the airplane in a certain position, certain angle of attack at a certain speed. And here we have another 777-300. Arriving from Willemstad, Curaçao, KLM flight 736. Now, more heavies are coming in. They've all landed on Polderbaan just now. Looks like there's an A320 going to London Heathrow that will take off from this runway. Although I'm not sure where it is going to take off. Now, I'm not seeing this big bird in the foreground on the left of center. That is interesting. It does look like it is going to take off. Oh, is it towed? Is it getting towed? Yeah, it looks like it's being towed. Okay, so that's why it's not on flight radar. This then is the first departure on this runway again. Meanwhile, we've got an A330 from Delta Airlines coming this way that has just landed on Polderbaan, being followed by another 787-10 Dreamliner. You might hear the engine of the A330 already. Dreamliner 10 and Delta A330. Delta Airlines Flight 164 having landed on Polderbaan just now, arriving from Minneapolis. An A330-300. "18 years old, first flight July 2005. Here we have KLM Flight 644, the 787-10 Dreamliner that has just returned from New York JFK. Alright, in the meantime, we have a departure on 18C. Here we go. Speedbird going to London Heathrow, flight 431. Airbus A320, 10 years old, first flight May 2013. Now, if you just joined me, welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy, and today we are standing at the northern threshold of runway 18 center, being used on and off for both departures and arrivals. At the moment, being used for departures once again as a secondary runway. 18 left being the primary runway for departures, and 18 right the primary runway for arrivals. And the center is, as we say in Dutch, mannetje van alles, a jack of all trades. Secondary runway for departures and arrivals, and the airplanes that you sometimes see pass in the foreground are arriving and have landed on 18 right, the Polderbaan. And because the runway in the center is in use, air traffic control directs the airplanes around the runway, and that means that they pass in front of us up close, so we get to see both inbound and outbound traffic. Makes for a nice variation. It is a temporary setup, or a temporary situation I should say. Has to do with runway 0624, the Cargolux being closed for yearly maintenance, scheduled to be until the 12th this month. After that, normal operation will resume, and then this runway, this location will not be as busy anymore. So save for the moment. Back to Polderbaan and Cargolux most of the time after today, most likely. Unless of course the maintenance gets delayed, which is not unlikely in the Netherlands. Meanwhile, what you heard And what you saw was the tail of a 777-300 that just passed us by. Still warm over here, we have a little breeze, the wind is blowing from the southeast. These airplanes are taking off to the south, so that means that the crosswind is a little bit from left to right. Makes it bearable, but as you guys can hear, I'm still occasionally having sips of water to stay properly hydrated. Europe still under the influence of a big area of high pressure, meaning that it is a bit hazy, it is a bit warm, it's not very windy. Contrails are visible here and there. I'm looking around me to see if maybe I can show you one, but at the moment there aren't any in the vicinity. Now, we'll have to wait a bit for the next traffic to depart from this runway. We are seeing next traffic that has arrived on Polderbound coming over here. We've got two baby 737s coming back to back. This one from KLM, probably a loaner to Transavia because the flight number is from Transavia. It is returning from, or has returned from Ljubljana, which is in Slovenia. 737-700. This airplane 12 years old. First flight was in February 2011. We have a second 737-700 behind it. Now, is that another airplane being towed? Doesn't look like it. So it does look like another departing airplane is coming our way. Delta Airlines Flight 49 A330neo to New York JFK. Also visible the windsock. You can see the wind visualized. While we're waiting for that A330neo to take off, here is another 737-700. This one is from KLM and flying for KLM. Flight 1344, having returned from Billund. 13 years old, first flight January 2010. The tail, a one size fits all. Always looks a bit out of proportion on the short fuselage of the 700 in my opinion, but it does look more proportional on its bigger siblings, the 800 and the 900. You get the impression that the weather, or at least the sky, is getting a bit more milky, more hazy. You do see a little bit of haziness here and there. I think the sky was a bit more blue earlier during the day. There is one airplane producing a contrail that is coming this way. Let me see if I can pinpoint the camera to it. There we go. It is moving from west to east, just south of me, and it is still west of me. Looks like a twin jet. Now with all the reflections on my 3-inch camera screen, I can only see a slight contour of an airplane. I see two contrails being produced. But no idea what I am looking at. I'm sure you guys will be able to see it, and I will read it back in the chat. At the moment, my phone, where I also have my chat window on, is pointing to the ground because it is mounted on the back of my camera, which is now pointing upward. Okay, now it does become a bit better against the backdrop of the sky. Still, I can only make out that it is a twin jet, so let's go back to the ground level. The A330 is getting closer.
will be taking off from the threshold, presumably. From the right we have another incoming Boeing 737-800 from KLM that has just arrived from Finland.
And thank you so much, Kevin, for becoming a member. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, buddy. Thank you so much for your support.
Now the plan is to stick around until the daily A380 from Emirates has landed. It is expected in an hour or so. If I would have to bet, I would say it is coming to this runway. Would I bet the bank? Would I bet all my life savings on it? No, but I think the probability, the likelihood is quite high. We did get to see it up close the day before yesterday. I'm hoping for a rerun today. And you guys are thinking it is an A300 from DHL. Okay, cool. There you go. The Neo is still accelerating on the runway. The Transavia is already lining up. Meanwhile, we have an EasyJet A320 that has landed on Polderbaan earlier from Basel. Maybe what you're hearing. Also what you will be seeing from the right. Delta A330 Neo on its way. Now, there's always wake turbulence that needs to dissipate, particularly for a small jet such as this. We'll have to wait a little bit. Transavia 737-700 will be going to Riga. So that's the third 737-700 we are seeing in 10 minutes or so. Hey, Mr. Donnelly, Jerry, good to see you again, buddy. Hope all is well. Got another action-packed stream over here today. Departures, arrivals, and hopefully the landing of the A380 on this runway later, in an hour or so from now. Hey, Lance, good afternoon, mate. I hope all is well. Good to see you again. And Inda is tuning in from Indonesia. Good evening there. Welcome to the stream. Hope all is well. Right, lined up right now is KLM flight 1145 going to Oslo. It is an Embraer 190. 11-year-old airplane, first flight January 2012. We have an EasyJet A320 Neo passing in the foreground in a moment that has arrived from Dubrovnik, and its first flight was in December last year.
Interestingly, the airplanes taking off in the beginning of the stream pointed their nose more to the left, so it seems that the crosswind has become a bit less than it was earlier. Let's check in on the windsock. Doesn't look that different to me, but apparently it is different from what it was earlier. Hey Rick, goedemiddag. Indeed, Zwanenburgbaan. Northern threshold. Embraer 175 passing by in the foreground, having landed on Polderbaan back from Stuttgart. Right, and for Marissa, the Finnair A380 taking off in a few minutes is going to be the last plane for her for today. Thanks for joining again, Marissa. I will say it already. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. No doubt. We'll see you soon again. Beautiful day still. Better make the most of it. I think I might also take a bike ride to the beach later. After having gotten home after streaming. It was lovely. The sight, the smell, the sound. Then also going on with his business. Zie je weer de volgende keer. And you're welcome, buddy. And Rick asks, is there a public spottersplaats over there? Well, if you look on Google Maps, there is a thing where I'm standing that is called Spottersplaats Zwanenburgbaan. It's not an official spottersplaats, of course, but then again, the location that I'm standing at when spotting from 06 is also not an official spottersplaats. There is a little tarmac road here where you can park your car. So far I have not been chased away, so I guess it is condoned even if it were illegal, but I think it is legal to stand here. Here we have Finnair flight 1302, Airbus A330-300 will be going back to Helsinki. A 2-hour flight typically. This airplane is 14 years old, first flight April 2009. Coming in from the right, Transavia. Flight 6332, which has returned from Valencia. Poor Lance going through serious withdrawals from duck withdrawal. Hope the doctor will be able to prescribe you something that will deal with the symptoms, mate. Don't you worry, I will be returning to Polderbaan and all the ducks pretty soon. Probably tomorrow. Now there are ducks over here in the distance. They are just too far to see really in detail. Not sure if we can see them right now. There was some movement in the water over there earlier. That is just ripples from the wind, it seems like. Also no birds in the water over there either. Now we do get to see a lot Embraer. Switch it up a little. I suppose nobody is suffering from Embraer withdrawal at the moment today. Not at Schiphol. Embraer 190. And bye bye Marissa. See you later. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining. Lot Embraer 190. Flown in from Warsaw. We've got an E2 Embraer 195 from KLM behind it. That has arrived from Berlin. Let's have a look at that, shall we? The big lump on the back is for Wi-Fi, right? I thought it was for Wi-Fi on board. If it's for something different, let me know. Ah, and this one does have the 1700 E-Jet sticker up front. You can almost already see the people getting up from their chairs, reaching for the overhead bins to grab their stuff, their hand luggage, to get out as quickly as possible. We all know how things go once the airplane has landed. Hey Roy, goedemiddag. Good to see you, buddy. Hope all is well. I'm assuming weather conditions in Hoor are similar as they are to over here. Now, interestingly, this runway is in use for departures, but we have not seen that many so far. Let's have a look and see. Are we going to see some? Not really. Funny how it goes. Most of it has been traffic that has landed on Polderbaan. So in the meantime, let's have a look at some of the departing traffic. That was the A380 going to Helsinki. Haven't gone around. Climbed further. We have a Vueling A320 up next. Or is that an A319? Now I'm too far zoomed out again. A320 having arrived from Alicante. Really funny that these airplanes are all being sent around the runway. Given that we've seen, 2, 3, 4 airplanes maybe now having taken off. I think there is one further up ahead. It looks like there are some airplanes coming this way. Or maybe they are taxiing around the runway to the runway 18 left. That could also be the case. No other airplanes over here in the meantime.
So the Embraer 175 we see over here to Stavanger, already entering the runway, taking off from an entrance not being the threshold. We do have a TUI Dreamliner that was behind it and is coming presumably to the runway threshold to take off. Meanwhile, thank you so much for your super chat, Jerry. The sidewalls of the are tough. Turn so fast. I think that one needs a little explanation. I think I'm not understanding what you're meaning there, Jerry. Right, 737-700 in the foreground, having arrived from Prague. Ah, the tire sidewalls. Got it, Jerry. Next up is going to be this TUI Dreamliner going to PUJ, Punta Cana. Flight 703. The airplane 8 years old, first flight November 2014. We've got another Embraer 175 going to Göteborg. That will be departing from this runway next. And we have a Vueling A320 that has arrived from Barcelona, that will be taxiing in the foreground in a moment. Alrighty. Ricardo is informing us that the A380 is now flying above Germany. Rick is asking in which country Punta Cana is lying. Wasn't that somewhere in Mexico or something? Oh, Dominican Republic. There you go. Wasn't too far off. Right, A320neo from EasyJet, having arrived from Milan, will be entering in the foreground from the right in a few moments. At the threshold going to Milan, is that correct? No, to Göteborg is an Embraer 175 from KLM, flight 1157.
And another airplane that has arrived from Milan, two back-to-back. Coming in from the right, KLM 737-800. And an Embraer 190 from KLM on the threshold, going to Birmingham in a few minutes. Once the previous airplane has taken off and is far enough away. And there she is going. KLM flight 1425, Embraer 190 going to Birmingham, 9-year-old airplane, first flight November 2013. Now, we have a 737-800 that you're hearing in the foreground passing by. The two airplanes following it will be a bit more interesting. Will be an Icelandair 757-200. The daily flight between Reykjavik and Amsterdam, flight 500. The old school pencil. Spooling up a little bit, but then having to brake already for another 90-degree right-hand turn. Up again. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Now, I think the next departure for this runway is going to be United Boeing 767-400 going to Washington. We saw it taxiing towards the gate as it had landed shortly before on Polderbaan earlier this morning, and now it is going to go back to Washington in a few minutes. It is underway over here. Where is it? Can we see it already from over here? That I think we cannot. It should become visible. Let's have another look. Or is it further away than I thought? Oh yeah. I have to look further away than I thought I needed to look. The next outbound airplane, 767-400 going to Washington, United Airlines flight 947. The next inbound airplane coming this way on the other side is KLM flight 744 that has arrived from Lima in Peru. And Ricardo will be flying to
Rodos with Transavia on Monday, September 25th. Who knows, we might get to film you. How early are you going to fly? Do you know that already? You probably do. Transavia, renowned for flying really early on their earliest flights of the day. Now, as the 767 is making its way over to the threshold of 18 center, here we have the 777-300ER that has just arrived from Lima in Peru. KLM flight 744. This airplane, only 2 years old, first flight January 2021. What you're hearing is the 767 behind this triple. That is producing the most sound, at least when it was facing me just now. A stretch 767-400, United Airlines flight 947 going to Washington Dulles International in Washington DC. It's 767-400ER, 21 years old. The first flight of this airplane was in May of the year 2002. Tina asks about the Silkway. Is it already on the move? Where is it going to? When is it expected to depart? Don't have the complete itinerary of both inbound and outbound traffic stored in my head, unfortunately. I'm not seeing anything on flight radar just yet. E2 Embraer 195 in the foreground. Trademark sound. When those engines spool up just a little bit. Alright, well Tina, I think that is going to be after the arrival of the A380. My intention is to stick around until the A380 has landed and after that call it a day. So I think the answer is going to be that I'm not going to be around then. On its way back to Washington, the 767-400. Again, regular viewers see this airplane quite regularly, and that might lead you to think that this is a very common airplane type, but worldwide it is quite a rarity actually. It's just very remarkable that for months on end now,
This airplane has been flying between Amsterdam, this airplane type I should say, because it's not the same airplane each time. There's also one, I think, with the Star Alliance livery. And I think there's one 25 years old and one 22, but I don't usually look at registrations, etc. But there are several, and they're all flying on Amsterdam, between Amsterdam and Washington now for months on end. Now, despite the haziness, visibility overall is still good, as you guys can see. You can still follow the airplane quite far without any serious difficulties. I'm not going to, however. There is more going on ground level in the meantime, which I think is interesting to have a look at as well. Embraer 175 having arrived from Genoa, and there are a few big birds coming this way. KLM flight 611, 787-10 Dreamliner going to Chicago O'Hare. That is the number 1 if I'm not mistaken. And behind it is... or is it? Oh no, another tow truck. I already thought it was looking like a A330, but I figured, well, it has to be the number 1, but... So here is the Dreamliner 10. Silly me. Hey, Mr. Jackson, morning. Doing well, thank you for asking. Hope the same goes for you, buddy. Hope the recovery of your knee goes well as well. Got a little Vueling A320 that is arriving from Valencia in the foreground. A320neo also coming this way, having landed on Polderbaan. Mrs. Professor, thank you for joining. Sleep tight and hope to see you again soon. Now, it is nearly 10 to 1. So I'm thinking at some point between now and the next 20 minutes, this runway is going to close again for the departures in favor of arrivals. Which means that the A380 has all of the runway for it to land on. A320neo that has arrived from Palma de Mallorca in the foreground. 787-10 Dreamliner going to Chicago, lining up on the runway. A 1-year-old airplane, had its first flight in June 2022. Interestingly, it sounds like airplane spool up sound is coming from the reflection of the soundproofing along the runway, the highway right of me. I will show you in a minute. Not so much from the airplane itself, but from the right. So it sounded like
The engine spool up sound came from over there, and I think it was the sound that was laterally reflected towards me from that soundproofing that is preventing the noises from the cars to travel too far to the people living here in the vicinity. Lars is informing us that the A380 is nearly visible above Enschede, so that means that ATC will have to hurry up with closing this runway for departures in favor of arrivals. ETA of the A380, Sander says 10 to 20 minutes past 1, so that is good news. Means more time for ATC to close this runway for departures and open it up again for arrivals. We'll see when all the Christmas lights are going on again. Embraer 190, German Airways, flying for KLM as flight 1333, going to Aalborg in a few seconds. A 15-year-old airplane on the move right now. First flight January 2008. What you're hearing are the engines of the A330 that has just turned around the corner on the right hand side. Got the Airlines flight 144, A330-300 having landed on Polderbaan just now. Coming back from Seattle, Washington State. And a Boeing 737-800 behind it. From Transavia. Returning from Alicante. Embraer 175 going to Copenhagen, lined up, ready to go. Embraer 190 coming in from right to left, arrived from Christiansand on Polderbaan. Now, I'm not seeing any traffic coming this way anymore. Oh wait, there is one Dreamliner going to YYC that is turning this way. So the runway will not close just yet. Meanwhile, we have a fire truck of a different caliber driving in front here. We'll be probably returning to the fire station near Polderbaan. I think we have seen this vehicle before. It's almost as if it is driving on the taxiway, but I'm pretty sure that there is another road for road traffic adjacent to the taxiway. Would be awesome though if it were to drive on the taxiway, but no, the taxiway is in front. We can see that clearly over here. Meanwhile, thank you so much, JD, for gifting an AMS Live membership. Very much appreciated, thank you so much. And welcome, Lance D ATL, who was gifted the membership.
randomly selected by the YouTube algorithm when you give memberships. People sometimes ask, why didn't I get one, or I want to get one. Well, people gifting memberships don't get to choose who their memberships are gifted to. It's the YouTube algorithm that somehow does that. Probably has to do with how active people are in the chat of a certain channel. Or at least that's what I'm assuming. Alright, I think we are due one more departure. Not sure if that's going to be the last one. A Dreamliner from KLM going to YYC, aka Calgary. This is KLM Flight 677, a 7879 Dreamliner. She is 6 years old. Her first flight was in July of the year 2017. Hey, good news Yorkshire, thank you for letting us know that the A380 has been assigned to 18C. That means that this is likely going to be the very last airplane of this bout of departures, and we'll see the Christmas lights go on shortly thereafter, indicating this runway will be used for arrivals once again. And that means that in 20 or so minutes from now we are once again going to see the A380 land up close. If you guys still have eardrums left that work, whatever is left of it might get destroyed, but word of warning, maybe lower the volume on the speakers. Thanks for the update, John Silverstar, who says that the A380 is now over Hengelo. Saves me some time strolling up and down, back and forth on flight radar. So that means it is first going to fly to the north of Lelystad and then a little bit to the southwest, and then probably going to cross the Markermeer. So yeah, that is 15 or so minutes still out. Now, bear in mind what this looks like now. No lights are on, and we will shortly see all the lights go on again. And Big Al, thank you for your kind words. Paul has to go. That is unfortunate, Paul. Bad timing. We are going to stick around for the A380 landing. Has been assigned to this runway. That much we know already. In the meantime, more traffic that has just landed on Polderbaan is coming our way, including Aeromexico Flight 25, today in the standard livery, not the beautiful Quetzalcoatl livery. Wouldn't that have been something? Over here it is passing by so slowly and so up close, you could see all the details of that beautiful livery in detail. But who knows, one day in the future. The airplane is going to stay in the air for some time to come, and I also have no intention of quitting just yet. (7879) Dreamliner having arrived from Mexico City, Aeromexico Flight 25. This airplane is 6 years old. First flight was in March 2017. What are those things called again at the back of the engine casing? Sharklets, right? Or was that... I think they were called sharklets, right? providing more insulation of the warm air, the loud air, lowering the volume of the exhaust sound. Alright, let's clear all filters. No need to tell you what airplane type this is. This is, of course, a 777. Having landed on Polderbaan, arriving from Guayaquil, Ecuador. KLM B751. Triple 200 ER. 19 years old already. First flight was in December 2003. Holy moly. Let's see, I was doing my first study was in my third year then, I think. Graduated in 2005. Did a few years of working and then back to school in 2010 or so. Now, in the meantime, what we are seeing in the distance is indicative of the runway now being no longer used for departures. Little airplane, taxiing, shortcutting. The Christmas tree lights have not gone on just yet. Chevrons, thank you Chris, chevrons. And Leon, thank you. Hey Caitlin, goedemiddag. Bedankt nog voor de foto. So traffic is now shortcutting. I'm thinking a runway inspection might be due. Not seeing the bird control vehicle just yet, but wouldn't be surprised if soon we will, and after that all the Christmas tree lights will go on again. In the meantime, the A380 is close to Lelystad. That is good news. It is getting closer and closer by. A fitting grand finale for another eventful stream here today. Alright, well, Christmas tree lights have gone on in the meantime, so that means the runway is going to be used for arrivals. And thank you so much, Jeroen, for just becoming a member. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge. Thank you so much for the support. And hello to Habibi as well. And Pro Gaming 7007. Mind your words. Now,
We have air traffic coming to center, lining up in the north. Let me have a look. Where? We have a little appetizer before the main course will be served in the form of Saudia Dreamliner 7879. Looks like the first airplane to come this way. Hey Alex, goedemiddag. Welcome to everybody just tuning in. This is the grand finale of this stream today of AMS Live. We're sticking around until the A380 has landed. Runway 18C is where we are standing at, the northern threshold. The airplanes have been landing on this runway until just now, or no, taking off, and they are landing as of now. No. Let me get my bearings again. That should be over here somewhere. Bear in mind the sun is now directly behind me, shining on my screen. Lots of reflections. Let's have another look. Yeah, it should be visible over there. Ah, got it. There we go. Coming in next is Saudia flight 215, Boeing 7879 Dreamliner, arriving from Jeddah, where this airplane departed from 5 hours and 28 minutes ago. The airplane is 6 years old. Its first flight May 2017. And after that, an E2 Embraer 195 arriving from Hamburg should be next. And it is visible vaguely just below the Dreamliner. Right, let's have a look. Embraer 175, Embraer 190, Emirates A380. So, what is that? 5 or 6 airplanes from now. The daily Emirates A380 is going to touch down over here. First up, Saudia flight 215 arriving from Jeddah, 7879 Dreamliner. This might get a little loud, by the way. And all of a sudden it is getting a bit windy. Could be the wake turbulence. Nice and refreshing. Alrighty, next up. KLM flight 1780, an E2 Embraer 195 arriving from Hamburg. Flight time 39 minutes thus far. It is a brand new airplane, meaning it is less than a year old. First flight of this airplane was in January 2023. Another Embraer 175 behind it, and already nicely visible. Nice to see that the number of likes you guys have left behind so far has increased nicely. Can we equate the number of viewers and the number of likes? Or at least get 500 plus today? We still have, what is it, 10 to 15 minutes left? Alright, next up KLM flight 1856, an Embraer 175, arriving from Düsseldorf, so that is a nearby destination, and the flight time of this airplane is a measly 29 minutes. Oh, and it seems like it is correcting for wind a little bit. The airplane 7 years old, first flight May 2016. And that was wake turbulence sound. Right, runway has been vacated. Time for the next airplane, an Embraer 190, arriving from Graz in Austria. And we already see what's coming next behind it. Embraer 190, arriving from Graz in Austria, 1.5 hours of flight time. The airplane 13 years old, first flight August 2010. And behind it is the daily Emirates A380. Alrighty, no time to waste. Let's turn around and film the arrival of the number 6 worldwide most followed airplane. It is Emirates flight 147, Airbus A380-800, arriving from Dubai. Flight time normal 6 hours and 37 minutes. It's always around 6.5 hours. It is the standard livery, the old standard livery. AMS Live members have access to the latest iteration of the standard livery with the ribbon tail emoji. This airplane is 7 years old, first flight March 2016. Now, again people, this is only temporary that this location is so busy. It is not representative for normal operations when runway 06 is not closed due to maintenance. So this is going to be the last time over here for some time to come, I think. But it was fun while it lasted. Let me now shut up and film the A380 for you guys. Right, folks. You can still hear the reversers. Now spooling down. As Mr. Clarkson would say on Top Gear, and with this and on this bombshell, it is time to end. Also, probably for a while last time over here, because normally this traffic is not as busy over here as it is this week. Back to the Polderbaan, it's probably going to be as of tomorrow. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. I had a wonderful time and I hope you guys did too. Thanks everyone for joining and tuning in. If you like what you saw and you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps me to reach more people like you and me who are also into content like this. A big thanks to everybody who was so kind to donate super chats, super stickers, super likes. Become a member, donate memberships, buy something through the merch store or donate through PayPal. Your support means the world to me, and without you guys this channel wouldn't be anything. So thank you all again for that. Also a big thank you to all the moderators for once again keeping the chat a friendly place as it has been from the get-go and hopefully continues to be. Looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. I think I will be at the Polderbaan then. If you guys are not able to make it then, hopefully I will see you later in the week. I will be looking out to go out again tomorrow and the next day after that, probably Thursday. It's all weather permitting, but so far I think it's going to be alright. I'm gonna wrap it up for now. Thanks all for tuning in once again. Take care, be safe, talk to you soon. Bye for now.